So in between videos, I double checked. There have been forum posts of people saying, "How come why is the Alliance even there? What reason does the Alliance have to be in Uldir?" Because basically, from what I can tell, there is no quest on the Alliance side to go into Uldir. There's basically no reason to go there. And basically, people were talking about what I mentioned before was that canonically, in Warcraft Chronicles Volume 3, they show that pretty much every other raid was handled by one faction or the other, and only a couple of very certain raids, like Ice Crown Citadel and even Dragon Soul, were handled by both factions. So which ones specifically handle which one, you'd have to go back and look at that. I myself would have to do that to clarify. I just, kind of remember, like, certain ones, But I guess that really is the reason. The Horde handles what goes on in Gahun and Uldir. And that's supposed to take place before the Battle of Dazar Lore. So after the Horde has to exert their champions and their resources and all these things to go into Uldir and defeat the forces in there along with Gahun. And just a reminder, this is what they faced. The Horde had to deal, they had to be the ones to go find Mother and kind of stop her. They had to deal with other, forces of N'Zoth, this guy, the Herald of N'Zoth. They had to defeat Zul after he had been brought back. They had to defeat Mithrax, and they had to defeat Gahun. They had to do all these things, and defeat these powerful forces in Uldir. They managed to pull it off. And then the Alliance shows up and attacks them in Zandalar. I'm just saying, kind of kicking them while they're down. Now, I'm sure we're about to see a quest line based on what I'm hearing, because I was not aware of this, that apparently the Horde attacks Angle Point, but let's find out.
The world fall to darkness.
The Horde attack on Norrington's place emboldened them. It was only a matter of time before they struck again.
We will teach them there is a price for attacking Kul Tiras. Mother, I need you to mobilize our infantry and medics.
I will get them moving to Angle Point at once, Jaina.
Tandred, take our best ships and sail out to flank them.
Aye, aye, Lord Admiral. Where will you be?
I will be facing the Horde head-on.
Ha! They don't stand a chance. Give them hell, sister.
Jaina, you should not stand alone. Take our champion and Talia at the very least.
Wise counsel, Mother. Champion, Talia, with me. We'll cross Tiragard Sound. Meet me by the canal.
Apparently Galeheart is so exhausted, Talia had to go on foot. I wish there was an option for me to be like, "Hey, Talia, hop on my mount. Let's go there." Nope. It's Lord Admiral. Hi, Lady Jaina. Can you do some magic for us? Can I have a water elemental? Mama says you can do ice magic. Can we have ice cream? I'm afraid I have to help some people right now. I'll be back later. That's cute. Look at all the water elementals here. Pushing the boat.
Talia, what's the situation at Angle Point? Do you think the Horde means to take out the Sea Gate?
I do, Mum. When we caught sight of the Azerite explosives, we knew what they were planning. The Outriggers and my patrol fought hard, but the enemy was relentless. We were overwhelmed. Galeheart's our swiftest griffin, so I was dispatched to sound the alarm. I didn't want to leave my company, but it was the only way to get the word out.
You did the right thing, Talia. Sometimes there's no way to save everyone. But we do the best we can. And we never give up hope.
Well, Jaina had to learn that the hard way recently.
Get ready. We're almost there.
I'm very curious who's leading the attack here. She just flash freeze every enemy here.
What would you ask the dog?
No wonder she ends up being the raid boss in the BOD raid. As I suspected, they're trying to establish a foothold and take out the seawall. The Horde will pay for what it has done, but first I will have to attend to the people here. I need to hold a portal open so the injured can evacuate to Borealis. Keep the Horde's forces off me while the wounded get to safety. We can deal with them once the civilians are safe.
I will never forget. A single spark can set the world aflame.
I'm out of range.
Why are there Tauren here? Every time I see a race, I'm like, a certain race like a Tauren, I'm like, why are you here?
I can't attack that.
Work together! You and our champion can do this, Talia!
I can't attack that
I've
target.
always dreamed of adventure.
I will do what I can.
If the attackers didn't know that we were here before, they know now. Seawalls can be rebuilt, but lives are lost for good. We need to secure the rest of the people here first. The Outriggers have been known as some of the fiercest hunters in these waters. Find their leader, Rosalind Madison, and enlist her aid in liberating Angle Point. Together, clear the north shore of the Horde, save anyone in danger, and rally the dock workers. You handle the north shore. I will handle the south. We'll meet in the middle and crush the Horde between us. The Horde has overrun Angle Point, killing my people and destroying their livelihoods. Its raiders have come to Kul Tiras with killing on their minds. Because the Horde is evil. They're evil, evil. I cannot allow that to happen. Slay any Horde axe throwers or berserkers that you see on the north shore. I will do the same on the south. Together we will stop this invasion. Want to point out, this never comes up as a Horde player. So basically, this is happening without the knowledge of the Horde player character. Just want to point that out. Probably because many Horde players like myself would have absolutely been disgusted participating in this.
What's the situation?
My patrol squad fought off the Horde so Galeheart and I could fly free. I have to stay with the Lord Admiral, so I can't look for them on my own. With any luck, they're out there fighting and waiting for reinforcements. Well, we are here to help save them. Would you find the rest of my patrol squad for me?
Friend.
Need a specific gizmo? A gadget? Perhaps a doodad.
The Horde Zeppelins proved to be problematic for our forces here. I tried to construct something quickly, but while the weapon had power, it didn't have the range necessary to take them out. The Lord Admiral has provided us with an expedient solution to the problem. Use this jury-rigged hand cannon on the Zeppelins. A quick application of high energy and heat will cause thermal shock and critical failure. To simplify, blow them up while they're grounded. Certainly need mechanical restoration to their weaponry, Lord Admiral. I'll stay with Nixidin. Very well. Talia, you're with me. I'll create a path for you to travel over the water to the Outriggers on the south here. That's okay, Jaina. I can fly. Take my water elemental to help you. We'll meet you up at cleared the Horde out of the wharf for Kul Tiras.
The Outriggers are prepared for anything.
Thank you. Oh. Success! Ingenuity prevails. Over brute force. You bring the rest of the frozen zeppelins to an explosive end. I'm going to join Rosalind and the other Outriggers. Once again, slanted writing to make the one faction look worse than it actually is over the other rears its ugly head. Morally gray, right?
It's too far away. I'm out of range. I can't attack that.
Oh, there's another player here.
I need to get closer.
You know, there are times I find myself wondering, what is the end goal of the developers with all of this slanted writing when it comes to trying to make the real-life players hate one faction over the other, which also causes them to have a dislike towards people who play the other faction? And I find myself wondering, are the developers purposely trying to get the players to dislike the players who play on the opposite faction? Because depending on the person, that could lead to a number of terrible things.
It's too far away.
And I find myself wondering whether or not the developers, when they, emphasize so much about this alliance versus horde dichotomy that's so forced, if they ever take a time to consider the ramifications of people that perhaps take the whole faction thing a little too far. That they slant stuff like this so much that some people could end up actually having a very negative feel towards people who played the faction that, based on what they're seeing here, like, how could you play for that other faction? They actually do something in real life. Like, why are you...
I need to get closer.
I find myself wondering why they go so far to try and make the real-life players, like, be separated from the other. Which I find hysterical because, one, there are tons of players like myself that play on both factions. So you can't. Two, if I sound frustrated, hard to put into words, because I am, Two, there are people who have friends that play on the other faction, that they want to actually play together, not fight each other, not dislike each other. And if it just feels as if with this agenda that the devs have to push this whole Horde versus Alliance thing, that in the process they end up perhaps ruining real life friendships because of the whole you have to hate the other faction and even hate people who play the other faction.
I'm out of range.
Now, I'm probably exaggerating, but at times that is how it feels with this kind of heavily forced, slanted writing here, making one faction look worse than the other while you're playing it. As I said, there's no equivalent to stuff like this when you're playing as Horde, where the Alliance are doing stuff like this. It's only as Horde when you're playing as Alliance. And I just find it hysterical and just incredibly one-sided, which is just not good. Especially for people like myself who are tired of this forced dichotomy of, Horde versus Alliance, and the fact that people, even Ian Hazakasas at this recent BlizzCon said, we believe Horde versus Alliance is a core, integral part of what makes Warcraft, Warcraft. And I just face-palmed incredibly hard at that. Since it has been proven time and time again that it is not the case. That is not true. I mean, for goodness sakes, even warlords of Draenor had hardly any Horde versus Alliance stuff outside of Ashran, because it was all about working together against the Iron Horde. And say what you will about warlords, it was a necessary step in this overall story that showed that when they worked together, because this carried over into Legion, when the Alliance and Horde work together and are a combined force, they can be able to defeat almost anything. We beat the Burning Legion together, and then they just resort back to this when it makes no sense.
You scared me.
I've never seen a monster I couldn't take down.
Hey, Rosalind. You and the Lord Admiral are a sight for sore eyes. I can see the Horde's ranks have thinned quite a bit. I'm sure that the Lord Admiral will be pleased to know I'm a fan. Or know that I know I am. Gosh, I can't read today. Not bad, Mainlander. They fought like outriggers when the Horde showed up. True Kul Tiran steel, one and all. I'll see to it that the injured are protected until we get out, and I'll give the able-bodied ones some blades. I imagine they'll want to repay the Horde for the loss of their friend. 62. My people met the Horde head-on when they arrived, but we've been scattered over the wharf. The Horde has been relentless. We haven't been able to form a solid resistance force using just our fists as weapons. But now the Lord Admiral is here with the champion of the Alliance. That's just the spark that we need to rise up and kick these sorry mongrels out of our lands. If you can get my men some weapons, they'll join the fight.
Show me a beast, and my outriggers can take care of it.
Just various different weapons scattered throughout.
It's too far away.
I find this hilarious because if I was on my Frost Mage, I would I guess have 2 water elementals with me. And of course, if you're playing like a hunter or a warlock, you'd have your other pets with you.
Can't attack that.
I find myself wondering how many of these Horde that we're fighting here are just the type of soldiers that are like, I was just following orders. Just blindly following orders. Kind of like some of the orcs when they followed Garrosh. Even Nazgrim did that to a degree.
What now?
Now that my people are able to fight back, I have a plan to help stop more of these savages from fouling up my nice wharf. Since the Lord Admiral has iced all of their zeppelins, the Horde are rowing in through the sea gate, the nice narrow sea gate entrance that makes for a great choke point. I'll have my people haul over a cannon and some ammunition. If you collect some gunpowder, we'll set it behind the gate where they won't expect the attack. We'll blast the Horde to the bottom of the harbor. The Outriggers have fought some pretty tough monsters, and Horde savages aren't so much different. The Blight specialists they brought weren't especially tough, but they were the most dangerous. Kill a few of them and bring back their face masks. Aukri can work his mechanical wizardry and build us better masks of our own in case any Horde scum dare show up their blight-spreading faces around here again.
Let me know when you're ready to play with the
The
big kids.
Outriggers are prepared for anything.
I'm very convinced, if I haven't said it already, that that is definitely the guy who voiced Stetman in Wings of Liberty. My poor Plumeria has been captured by an exceptionally brutal villain. He has been overseeing the spread of pestilence along the wharf. Rosalind needs my mechanical expertise in fixing our weapons. Would you free my poor Plumeria and slay the vile knight tormenting her?
Tides bring us into proximity again.
We'll set the cannons up near the seawall. Good luck. Or good hunting. You know, it's a shame I couldn't re-show you guys the Warbringers Jaina here in this playthrough, because part of the thing about that animation leading into Kul Tiras was, you know, you hear things happen and they're like, after she raised the ship, she says, "I'm listening now, Father." Basically her way of saying that she has come around recently, because the implication was that that is where she went immediately after the event of the Broken Shore opening event from Legion. Like, after Varian died at the Broken Shore, and she's at the throne room telling them that they should go after the Horde instead of the Burning Legion, and they're like, no, we can't fight the Horde and the Burning Legion at the same time. And then she leaves and we never see her again for the rest of the expansion, but that's where she went. And she basically is so broken after the events of the Broken Shore, no pun intended, that she goes there and she's basically saying, "You know what, Father? You were right. We should have exterminated the Horde." I should also point out that, again, we never see her again in the Legion expansion after she leaves. And I guess it speaks volumes that she was so just devastated and broken about not just Varian dying, but the idea that she believed that the Horde was responsible for it, that she was not even willing to help contribute to fighting the Burning Legion, simply out of just having to deal with the idea of not just Varian dying, but also, you know, trying to come to grips with the whole, you know, the Horde.
First.
Because she believed that the Horde is responsible for what happened to Theramore, which, you know, I guess you could say so with Garrosh, but now she believed that they were responsible for Varian, that to the point where she's like, you know what, Father, you're right. We should have wiped out and genocided the Horde at that point. And the thing is, even after we save her from the Blighted Lands here, she hasn't changed her mind on that. She still has the mindset and the idea that, you know what, yeah, we should wipe out the Horde. So she still has the mindset from the Warbringer cinematic going into these events here after we save her from the Blighted Lands with Gorak Tool. She still is really thinking that way, which carries over into the Battle of Dazar'alor raid. And is basically not going to change at all until Valera shows up saying Bane wants to talk to you. And, well, what happens there basically is the start of her changing her mindset and realizing that perhaps that is not the way, that her original thinking about peace is actually the way. And it's one of the things that I've said that, you know, once I saw how this was going and ending up, that I really liked what they were doing with Jaina's character. Yeah, she was a non-presence in Legion, but she got a huge focus in this. Did you find enough gunpowder? Excellent. We're all set up here to take out the Horde's boats. I'm asking for a friend. Thank you, Mainlander. I'm sure that Akri can make us some top-notch gear with these.
I've got monsters to kill.
Need a specific gizmo? A gadget? Perhaps a doodad.
I cannot thank you enough for the timely rescue of my griffin and for removing the vile monster who was torturing her.
Return post-haste.
I've never seen a monster I couldn't take down.
Horde invaders keep sailing in through the sea gate, but we have a nasty surprise for them. The Outriggers are good at fighting monsters of any sort, the Horde included. We'll keep them off you while you take out their boats. Send them to the bottom of the harbor. For Kul Tiras! For the Lord Admiral!
Yeah, when you're ready to play with the big kids.
Oh. Duh. Okay. I was like, huh? Gotta make sure you see the crosshairs first, and then fire. Hey, Jaina.
The true battle lies ahead.
Talia and I were able to subdue the horde on our side of the wharf. I see that you've had some success here as well. We keep shooting them out of the water, but they keep coming. Can you stop their boats?
We all have our coasts.
I believe I can stem the tide. There. The ice will hold them off long enough for us to handle the ships in the bay.
The way forward will not be easy.
We've stopped the tide of horde. Now we can address the goblin sappers. The ice should keep the horde out while we handle the sapper teams gathered on the beach. I'm going to keep these horde galleons busy. I need you to handle whoever is in charge and bring all the Azerite bombs that you find back to me. Then we'll handle disposing of their weapons. Nebik Mega Fuel. Gosh, I love goblin names. Collect Azerite bombs and bring them to Jane on top of the sea gate.
Control your power.
How did this goblin get a last name like Mega Fuel? Captain Madison, shall we keep those ships busy while Nixon stops their sapper teams? Aye, Lord Admiral. The outriggers never back down from a good hunt. Glad to hear it. What's the status of the weapon emplacements on the battlements? We were taking too much fire, so I pulled my people back. But if they could get there quickly, we could lay into those ships with harpoons. I can help with that, Captain. Hold on. And I guess she teleports them. I mean, after all, we do know that Jaina is fully capable of mass teleport. Where are the... Ah. I was like, where are these bombs? Oh, that's where they are. Four bombs per? Ooh, this is going to take a little while. There he is. Cannot believe he got a name like Mega Fuel. Pile. All right. It doesn't even have any lines. It doesn't even have any lines. Use the arcane teleport beacon. Again, as far as I can recall, this is something I never hear about on the Horde side of things. a lot of stuff just not even shared between both sides, which I can tell is deliberate, which is even more annoying and just is even more frustrating. It's such an obvious show of one-sided slanted writing to make one side worse than they actually are. But again, there's no equivalent to this stuff from the Alliance unless you count the Battle of Dazarlor raid.
I will do what I can.
The Sea Gates have protected the heart of Tiras Sound for generations. Today is not the day Angle Point falls. As for those Azerite bombs, I have an idea. The Horde appears to have misplaced some of its Azerite. It would be rude of us to not return it, don't you think? The most efficient way is for me to teleport it back. I've enchanted the harpoons in that launcher over there. Fire them onto the Horde ships in the bay. I can use them as beacons to return the Azerite to the Horde, and send its ships on their way.
I know what must be done.
For Kul Tiras!
What would you ask the Daughter of the Sea?
It appears as if the fleet won't be needed for much more than hauling wreckage out of the bay. Thank you for helping me to save my people before more could be killed by the Horde. Our foes are growing bolder. Clearly we need to strike back. Kul Tiras will fight beside the Alliance when we do.
Be careful who you trust. The true battle lies ahead.
I hope the Horde will think twice about attacking Kul Tiras in the future. But given the actions of its leadership, it is a faint hope at best. Still, what matters most is my people are safe now. The fleet of Marines should be here soon to help the Outriggers clear out what remains of the Horde forces. Please return to High Commander Wormbane and let him know that I will join everyone as soon as I am able. Thank you for your swift actions today.
The Alliance will endure.
Oh my gosh, seriously? You see what I mean about the push to make players feel a certain way about the opposite faction? And even the devs and the devs encourage it. Like, if you look up interviews of questions that people have given to the devs about this stuff, they'll, like, I heard one say, well, you're not supposed to like the other faction. And I'm like, okay, what do you say to players who play both factions, who do like both factions? I just imagine that's what his response is. Or her response. It's just laughable for me at times these days to hear the devs defend this stuff. But then when you have lots of players that go along with it, I feel like I'm one of the minority when it comes to those who get sick of the whole forced faction war thing. A successful operation indeed. I'm glad that we have Lady Jaina back among the members of the Alliance. We've done our best together, but the added power of the Kul Tiran fleet and their new Lord Admiral may be just what we need to push this campaign forward.
Our work has just begun.
Alright, that's the first step in the Tides of Vengeance. Very nice.
We are the sons and daughters of the Alliance.
Huh. I've received a report from Kelsey Steelspark. She seems to have discovered something that will aid our war effort. She's refused to go into specifics, citing a need for secrecy with such sensitive intel. It looks like you'll need to speak to her in person. She's expecting you in Zabala.
Do not delay. Whatever Kelsey has discovered could be key to gaining a tactical advantage in this war.
You know, I have a feeling, and some have speculated on this, that a lot of the stuff for the beginning portion of BFA was rushed out and pushed out, which is perhaps an explanation as to why, for example, Wormbane doesn't have any voice acting for the war campaign up until this point. And now, all of a sudden, as you heard there, he has voice acting. And it's like, okay, now we can actually start doing things like voice acting for characters, whereas we couldn't do that before. Oh, my goodness.
What needs done? Look to the shadows.
By the way, in case you're curious, yes, I did get the medallion, which leads to finding the Zalatath dagger. Yes, I do have that. I'm debating whether or not to actually show it. Because, well, you guys know, if you've seen my main playthrough, one, you saw me do Uldir, which I'm pretty sure at this point we are probably not going to be showing Uldir on this character because the Alliance has no quest or questline going into Uldir. So it would just be me going in there just to do it, which I may, but I'm only getting 340 or something gear by doing the LFR version of Uldir. Even if I did Mythic Uldir, I wouldn't be getting stuff that's better than what I already have. So I wouldn't be doing it for gear reasons. I'd simply be doing it just to do it. But at the same time, how many Alliance players do you think are even bothering doing Uldir these days? Probably not that many. So, and I'm debating whether or not to even show you guys the Crucible Storm storyline with Zalatath's dagger, because I already showed it to you on my main playthrough on Horde, which I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing except different locations. Since the Horde one mainly took place in Zuldazar, whereas it would probably take place here. So, I don't know. I'll figure it out as we go along. So I guess we'll be heading back to Zuldazar to talk to Kelsey when we return. Stay tuned.